Greetings, fellow adventurers and lovers of mysterious tales. Today we're setting off to explore Nigeria, a country that will challenge everything you thought you knew about Africa. Get ready to discover lush jungles teeming with life, scorching deserts singing their ancient songs, modern cities that never sleep, and customs preserved for centuries. This isn't just an exotic collection of words, it's a vibrant kaleidoscope of contrasts. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, and believe me, there's something here for everyone. I won't bore you with dry statistics, but I will share some amazing facts that I hope will blow your mind. Think about how many languages you know. Well, here there are over 500, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So buckle up, because we're embarking on an incredible journey to Nigeria, where every corner holds a secret and the cultural diversity is simply astounding. When people think of Nigeria, they often focus on nature and culture, but they forget that it's also the largest economy in Africa. Yes, Nigeria has surpassed South Africa and Egypt. And the reason? Oil gushes here like it's granting wishes. It's oil that brings in the most revenue, attracting global corporations. But it's not just about oil. Agriculture also plays a huge role. Remember your grandma saying potatoes are life? Well, in Nigeria, they feel the same, but they add yams and cassava to the mix. And this isn't just food, it's a whole culture. The country is also making strides in the digital economy, and startups are popping up like mushrooms. So, if you're looking for somewhere to invest, take a look at Nigeria, a land of opportunity, whether it's oil or fresh ideas. But behind the economic glitter, there are also challenges. The news often reports on instability and corruption, which demands respect for those who are fighting against it. Despite that, Nigeria is moving forward, and its spirit is felt everywhere. If you ever find yourself in this country, be prepared for breathtaking landscapes and an immersion into a dynamic economic life. When it comes to languages, Nigeria is a true cultural mosaic. Imagine over 500 languages, each a world unto itself, with its own traditions and history. English is the official language, but that's just the beginning. On the streets of Lagos and Abuja, you'll hear Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo, like music creating a beautiful harmony. I'm always amazed at how people switch from one language to another, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. It's a real cultural game, where every phrase has multiple meanings. If you want to chat with the locals, you might meet someone who explains the difference between Yoruba and Igbo. If you don't know the local language, you're playing Guess What I Meant. But that's what makes traveling so exciting. The chance to immerse yourself in new linguistic environments and discover something more than just the sights. Some people think speaking English is enough, but in Nigeria, that's not always the case. I remember once trying to order a local dish in a cafe, and the waiter just looked at me blankly. I didn't know that the Yoruba name for the dish was completely different. That's when I realized if you want to eat well, you need to learn the local lingo. Lagos isn't just a city, it's a megacity that's growing so fast, it feels like you've stepped into a science fiction movie. The population of Lagos is approaching 20 million, which is almost like putting the entire population of Norway into one city. And with the local traffic, which can only be compared to a labyrinth, life in Lagos is boiling like a pot of soup on the stove. Markets, street vendors selling everything from fried plantains to exotic fruits, and endless streams of people. It all creates a unique atmosphere. In this city, tradition meets modern innovation. I remember walking through the business district one day and seeing skyscrapers reaching for the clouds. It was so impressive that I forgot why I'd even come. Lagos struck me with its energy. Every corner breathes with dynamism, and even if you're just sitting on a bench, you'll notice how quickly everything changes. If you want to understand the African rhythm of life, Lagos is the place to be. So much is happening that you'll feel like you're in a movie where every day is a new scene with unexpected twists and colorful characters. If you think only Hollywood and Bollywood can boast cinematic masterpieces, then you need to learn about Nollywood, the second largest film industry in the world. Yes, you heard right. Around 2,500 films are made here every year, and these aren't just amateur projects. Nollywood is a real dream factory where talented actors, writers, and directors create films that win the hearts of audiences, not only in Nigeria but also abroad. I remember once going to a local cinema and seeing people watching the films as if it was sacred. Every new film causes such a storm of emotion that it seems like the whole street has gathered for the premiere. Nollywood experiments with genres, from melodramas to comedies, from thrillers to historical dramas. There's everything here. But like any developing industry, the quality of the films can vary. Sometimes you look at the screen and think, what was that? But it's that unpredictability that makes Nollywood so appealing. It's important to understand that cinema here is not only entertainment, but also a way to discuss social problems, historical events, and cultural traditions. Films become a mirror of society, reflecting its joys and sorrows. So, if you're looking for something unusual and want to immerse yourself in a world where every film is a new adventure, Nollywood awaits. Moving from cinema to nature, let's see what makes Nigeria so special. It's a country where dense forests, boundless savannas, breathtaking waterfalls, majestic mountains, and deserts can all be within a few hours' drive of each other. Imagine walking through a dense forest where the greenery is so rich that it seems nature itself has painted every leaf. And then, just a few minutes later, you're already on a plain where you can see the silhouettes of antelopes in the distance. If you're lucky, you'll encounter the white-throated monkey, one of the rarest species of monkey. These fluffy creatures live only in West Africa and have such a playful nature that you won't be able to resist their charm. I remember seeing a group of these monkeys playing street football one day, jumping, turning their heads, and jumping from branch to branch. It was like a little performance by nature, and I marveled at how alive and diverse life can be in Nigeria. While you're walking around this amazing country, don't forget that each part of it is a separate story, full of amazing discoveries and unexpected encounters. The Nok culture, which existed more than 2,000 years ago, also deserves attention. Imagine skilled craftsmen working on the green hills of modern Nigeria, creating terracotta sculptures that still inspire admiration. These mysterious statues with characteristic facial features and sophisticated details seem to pierce through time and space, leaving us with questions about who these ancient people were and what stories they would tell. I have always been amazed at how art can be so eternal. These sculptures are not just ceramics. They are windows into a world that was full of rituals, customs, and perhaps even magic. Imagine them being used in religious ceremonies or as symbols of status. There is a story in each of them. The Nok culture was known not only for its sculptures but also for its ability to process iron, which was a real breakthrough for that time. Do you know what's interesting? These amazing works of art were only discovered in the middle of the century, and that's when scientists began to realize how much we still don't know about our common heritage. So, when you are in Nigeria, do not miss the chance to see these wonderful terracotta creations, which make you think about how diverse our understanding of history can be. I can't help but mention the giant Zuma rock, which reaches a height of 725 meters. This is not just a stone. It is a whole story that local residents call the gateway to Abuja. It is no coincidence that when I first saw this rock, it made such an impression on me that it seemed as if I was standing in front of an ancient guardian, guarding his land. Zuma is not just a landscape, it is a symbol that embodies the spirit of the city and its residents. Many locals believe that the rock is a spiritual protector, and this knowledge gives it special weight. I remember locals telling me about the rituals they perform at its base, praying for well-being and protection. This place seems to be imbued with energy, and when you are nearby, you feel connected to something bigger than nature. The rock itself is magnificent, but against its background, a stunning view of the surroundings opens up, which inspires photography lovers. So, if you find yourself in Abuja, be sure to climb to this natural fortress and take a couple of photos, against the background of this natural wonder to impress your friends and feel like part of something great. But that's not all that can impress you in Nigeria. Let's talk about the Sungbo Wall, the longest wall in Africa. Imagine this architectural marvel stretching for a whole 160 kilometers. And you know what the most interesting thing is? It was built long before the Great Wall of China. These are not just stones stacked in a row, but a real historical mystery covered in the fog of time. Locals believe that this wall was erected in honor of Queen Sungbo, who, according to rumors, could control the elements. Yeah. When I first learned about it, I got the feeling that it was not just a wall, but a whole archive that keeps the stories of ancient peoples, their beliefs and dreams. Unlike many other historical monuments, this wall is not so popular among tourists. Perhaps that is why it retains its original atmosphere. It seems to be calling you to learn its secrets, and I could not resist walking along it. And when I looked at its majestic outlines, it seemed to me that I was not just walking, but stepping through the pages of history where every stone tells about the time when life was in full swing here. If you are looking for a place for reflection and inspiration, this wall is exactly what you need. And don't forget to bring a good camera with you to capture this historical masterpiece, because such moments are worth preserving for memory. And here we move to the city of Kanyo, one of the oldest cities in Africa, which already in the X century was a real trading center for salt and gold. Imagine noisy markets where merchants shout their goods, and the air is filled with the aromas of spices. When I first found myself in Kano, I was struck not only by the historical depth of this place, but also by its living culture, which does not seem to be going to disappear. The ancient walls which still stand like guardians of time tell of millennia-old stories hiding secrets and legends. I walked the streets and every step echoed in me the awareness that you are not just a tourist, but a participant in a historical performance. And traditional markets are a completely separate story. There you can see how locals trade not only goods, but also culture. I remember in one of the shops I was treated to a national dish, and it was something. The dish was so rich and aromatic that I almost forgot that it was 30 degrees outside. So if you find yourself in Kano, be sure to walk along its streets, look at the walls that remember the centuries, and do not miss the chance to try the local cuisine. This is not just food, it is a small excursion into culture. Against this rich historical background, Kano becomes not just a city, but a real open-air museum where every building and every turn of the street tells its story. Now let's take a little break from the stories and move to the longest beach in West Africa, Ibano Beach. This wonderful stretch of coastline stretches for 30 kilometers along the turbulent Atlantic Ocean. Ibano Beach has become a real mecca for surfers, and those who prefer a relaxing holiday away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Just imagine soft sand under your feet, the sound of waves and the wind gently swaying here. On this beach, you can see surfers catching the perfect waves, and locals enjoying the slow flow of life. I have always believed that beaches are not just places to relax, they are real scenes where stories unfold. At Ibano, you can witness how people from all over the world come together to enjoy the same moment. The beauty of nature, freedom, and of course, quality rest. I also can't help but note that there are excellent opportunities for photos here. Against the background of the sunset, the ocean becomes a real canvas, and your shots will look like a work of art. And if you don't mind getting your feet wet in the ocean, be prepared for unexpected encounters with the local fauna. Crabs that briskly run away from you, as if they know that you want to capture them in a photo. So, if you are looking for a place where you can relax and enjoy nature, Ibano Beach will be a real discovery for you, where every wave brings new experiences and memories. The next point of our incredible African odyssey was Gurara Falls, which some have already dubbed Nigerian. Just imagine, in the rainy season, this waterfall turns into a real water extravaganza. A 30-meter high cascade thunders down, creating clouds of spray that can get you pretty wet if you get too close to the edge. I was amazed at how powerfully and rapidly the water rushes, as if nature itself decided to put on a show to remind us of its power. There is noise, roar around, and on people's faces, delight and surprise. If you ever manage to visit here, do not forget to grab a raincoat. It definitely will not hurt to put on so as not to become a victim of a sudden water attack. In addition, this place is ideal for photography enthusiasts. You can capture how the sun's rays break through the water curtain, creating amazing rainbows. Yes, here you can feel like a real explorer, discovering another corner of this amazing planet. Gurara Falls is not only impressive with its beauty, but also reminds us that nature always sets us up for reflection on how small we are in its scale. So, if you are looking for a place where you can escape from everyday routine and just admire the splendor of nature, Gurara will be your ideal choice. The Kingdom of Benin is perhaps one of those places that should be explored in order to understand how rich culture and history can intertwine in amazing works of art. Benin bronzes are not just artifacts. They are masterpieces that tell about the greatness of one of the most powerful African kingdoms. When I first saw these metal plates and statuettes that adorned the palaces of kings, I was struck by the level of skill and detail. Imagine how the masters of that time worked with bronze, creating exquisite reliefs depicting scenes from life and historical events. Unfortunately, many of these masterpieces ended up in European museums, where they are now attracting the attention of collectors and art lovers. But here is the paradox. Nigeria insists on the return of these artifacts and the restoration of historical justice. I have always thought that art should be accessible to everyone, and returning these works to their homeland is not just a desire, but a necessity, so that local residents can be proud of their heritage. Benin bronze artifacts are not just beautiful things, they symbolize a whole era that was filled with innovations and traditions. So, if you ever find yourself in Nigeria, be sure to visit the museum in Benin to see these masterpieces with your own eyes, and feel how art can unite people and transmit history from generation to generation. When it comes to the traditions of Nigeria, the Osun Oshogbo Festival stands out against the background of other events, like a bright rainbow against a gray background. This is not just a holiday. It is a real cult that is dedicated to the goddess of water Osun and takes place in a sacred grove where, according to legend, the goddess herself once appeared to people. I have always been surprised how such events can attract pilgrims and tourists, and realize that each of them brings their hopes and dreams with them. The atmosphere of the festival is simply unforgettable. The sounds of percussion instruments merge with the voices of choirs, and the traditional outfits of the participants transport you to another era. Immersing yourself in this cultural extravaganza, you seem to become part of ancient history, when people, believing in the power of the goddess, sought her blessing for a good harvest and health. This holiday is not only a tribute to the goddess, but also an opportunity for locals to demonstrate their culture, and for tourists, a unique chance to witness something truly majestic. Every year, the sacred grove becomes a place where ancient rites and modernity are intertwined. And every time I watched the rituals, I had the feeling that I had become part of something bigger than just a holiday. It was a union of people with nature and their ancestors. So, if you are planning a trip to Nigeria, do not miss this festival, because it is not just an event, but a whole world full of life, love, and spirituality. We move from a bright holiday to a mysterious place, the Forbidden Forest in the heart of Nigeria. This forest is not just a piece of nature, it is the last remaining sacred grove in West Africa, protected by UNESCO. Yes, you heard right. There are not just trees here, but real myths and legends that permeate the air like morning mist. When I first found myself in this forest, it seemed to me that I had fallen into another world. Silence broken only by the whisper of foliage and the feeling that every tree can tell its story. Legends say that spirits live here, and locals treat this place with awe, as to a sacred place, where every step must be taken carefully so as not to offend the sacred borders. In this forest, you will find not only centuries-old trees, but also unique flora and fauna that seem to protect ancient secrets. I remember standing among these giants, and I had the feeling that the forest itself was literally breathing history. In this place, even time seems to stop, and you understand that every leaf and every branch here is part of something great. So, if you are looking for a place where you can feel the true magic of nature and history, do not miss the chance to visit the Forbidden Forest. This is not just an excursion, it is an opportunity to touch the ancient culture and something grandiose that has survived the centuries. Let me tell you frankly, if I had to choose one word to describe Nigeria, I would choose joy. Yes, that's right. Studies have shown that Nigerians are among the happiest people on the planet. And do you know what this means? This means that even among all the difficulties they face, Nigerians know how to find a reason to celebrate. Imagine, in the heart of Lagos, where the noise and bustle is not just a background, but a real symphony of life. Music sounds on every corner, and people dance as if they have no worries left. I remember one day on the street I came across a street musician who was playing the guitar, and a crowd of people gathered around him. Everyone danced, laughed, and just enjoyed the moment. It was incredibly contagious. Nigerians don't just love holidays, they live them. Here, every week can be a reason for fun, whether it's a wedding, a birthday, or just meeting friends. Music and dance permeate everyday life, and this is not just entertainment. It is a way of expressing emotions, culture, and of course, happiness. I watched how the locals moved easily and carefree to the rhythm that it seems only they knew. And at that moment, I realized that there really is something special in Nigeria that makes people smile even in the most difficult times. If you want to know what true joy sounds and looks like, Nigeria is exactly the place you should visit. Nigeria. This is not just a country, it is a real find for those who crave adventure and vivid impressions. Every time I think about Nigeria, I am filled with admiration for its rich culture, stunning nature, and incredible history. Just imagine from majestic savannas to noisy city streets, here every corner seems to tell its unique story. This is a place where ancient traditions intertwine with modern rhythms of life, creating an amazing cocktail of emotions and experiences. And you know what else? Nigeria is not only about what you can see, but also about what you can feel. If you ever decide to look here, be prepared for the fact that this country will leave an indelible mark on your heart. So, if you are interested in learning more about Nigeria and other amazing corners of the world, feel free to subscribe to my channel, like and share your thoughts in the comments. Your impressions and questions only spur me on to new discoveries, and I look forward to sharing with you even more amazing stories and facts. Remember, the world is full of wonders, and each of us is able to discover something new. So let's do it together. And don't forget to share this video with your friends so that they too can discover this amazing and multifaceted country called Nigeria. See you soon, and to new exciting adventures on our channel.